Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this great big universe. My name is Helena, and thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of Love Unlocked, where together we decode the mysteries of the universe. So today, back by popular demand, we have Cynthia, one of the more beloved writers on Quora and experts in the knowledge of Dolores Cannon's work, and she is going to answer our questions today about extraterrestrials. Do they exist? What are they? Who are they? And why are they here? And even more importantly, stick around to the end of the video so that way you can learn and discern whether or not you might have extraterrestrial DNA. How weird would that be to find out that you actually have extraterrestrial DNA? You know, the concept of extraterrestrials has been around for a very long time, and Dolores Cannon wrote quite a few books on and gave many lectures on the subject. Personally, I'm curious to find out more about it. So without further ado, let's bring Cynthia in. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming back. It's so good to see your face again.
You, how are you today?
I'm okay. Thank you so much. So I was just letting the viewers know what we're going to be talking about today. And I was hoping maybe you could start us off with giving us a brief overview of Dolores Cannon, her work, and maybe a few points on what she had to say about the extraterrestrials.
Oh, the extraterrestrials, that's a very controversial subject, but Dolores Cannon was a QHHT therapist. She helped people with quantum healing hypnosis. And she's over 40 years ago, helping people basically with stop smoking, little habits that they might have had. And one thing led to another, client to client, and then the ETs started coming out of her clients, speaking from her clients while they were under hypnosis.
And she had a lot of clients too,
Thousands.
speaking under hypnosis, all having almost identical or very close to the exact same experiences, which is what prompted her to write the book, The Three Waves of Volunteers. She's written other books, but namely The Three Waves of Volunteers is the book that will have the majority of the information you guys are looking for so far as extraterrestrials. So what are some...
As it too,
what,
but I won't even go into convoluted universe because that's not area, but this one is. It does mention convoluted universe in Three Waves of Volunteers, so there's some points in there for anyone that wants to read the book. A lot of people are now reading the book because they want to know what's happening with the Earth right now.
So what are the concepts that Dolores Cannon introduced us to so far as alien civilizations?
Well, she referred to light workers coming from many civilizations, and that humans were not just of Earth. So we can, depending on the individual, we can come from, say, the angelic realm, for instance. We can come, I think another person that you interviewed said that he was a Pleiadian. I'm not too familiar with that. I haven't looked into my roots. I haven't had time. I have an idea, but I all over the galaxy. So it's not just limited to Earth.
What are some of the characteristics of those civilizations? Might we imagine what they would be like based on what she shared, Dolores Cannon shared?
She shared, and based on what the people I've met, two different experiences. Personally, I have met people who, in my opinion, are of ET origin, and they actually didn't realize that until I brought it to their attention. They were going to doctors, having surgeries that weren't successful, and their facial features were very different than what I'm used to looking at. Crystal blue eyes, almost like a cat type face. And oddly enough, when I was observing this, and believe me, it was very uncomfortable, cats were surrounding this person, circling her. And from what I understand, your cats are familiars, and they kind of guard their. You have one that pays close attention to you, but that is one of the characteristics that I found. I kind of looked at the cat, and then I looked at the woman I was working with, and I said, "Oh my goodness, you look alike." So there's also reptilians, although I have not met anybody that looks like a snake. But who I'm going to run into tomorrow. So, but it's usually based on their molecular structure and not necessarily what their face looks like.
That is good to know, because I've met a few people that look like cats, and they say that we all look like an animal.
We do. Yeah, I probably look more like a dog because that's what I gravitate toward. But
A dog?
I don't.
I don't think you're a dog.
I had chihuahuas, which is, did I look like those? I don't know. They're just something that I was partial to. But the people that I've met, or one in particular, she does have cat-like features. She's got amazing sharp blue eyes that angle up. Her facial features are, she's got large eyes, high cheekbones, and a narrow chin, much like a cat does. Her psychic skills and her mediumship skills are off the charts. She will have soap waiting for me, for example, at her house when I get there without me telling her I needed it. And so I call her a walking oracle. Very disturbing to me at first, because she was first channeling my husband. And then it was one thing that led into another that just made me discover that she was more than just this human that was standing in front of me.
So what you're saying is that aliens could be not only among us, but human beings may carry alien extraterrestrial DNA. Would that point toward a hybridization program of some kind?
I'm sure it does. I think her last name is Peterson from Ozark Publishing. She made a video about this, that she was abducted and her eggs were harvested. And the hybridization is not going on this planet, but it's being done in higher realms. So I think she said she had over 30 children, none of which she's met, because she decided to be sterilized when she was on Earth. So it's very complicated, in depth, but yeah, hybridization definitely. Yeah.
Yes, and I think the name you're looking for is Christy Peterson.
Thank you. Yeah.
She was interviewed by Ozark Publishing regarding her experience through alien encounters. And I just couldn't imagine that would be, to me, horrifying, just even to think that my reproductive organs or eggs could be harvested to create aliens or create some other kind of a being that's not human. So
Yeah.
do these aliens, do they mean us any harm, or are they here to help?
They're here to help. I've met so many, and the first impression that I've gotten is that of a love like you've never imagined. They're very loving people. They're people. They're just people. You can tell by their energy that they're warm, loving, caring people. They do have some issues that they probably dealt with in life that has kind of scarred them a little bit, but there are other people that are helping them get through that. But they're just people. So you can't say, oh, there's one over there. You can't, because they're just blending into today's society, just normal as normal can be.
No, you had mentioned a cat. Somebody looked like a cat.
Yes.
Are you saying that it's possible that not just alien DNA, but DNA from other living things like cats or reptiles could be in humans?
I would say that that's a possibility, although what if there are cat people living in other civilizations and they helped with the creation of these people as humans? So part of their DNA, part of their molecular structure includes that.
So what would their purpose be for blending human DNA with DNA not of this world. That reminds me of a Roman Polanski movie. Was it Cat People? Was that Roman
Oh,
Polanski?
oh yeah, yeah, that was nasty. I saw I saw that movie, and I think that one turned me off to cat people until years later I met a person who resembled a cat, had cats all around her. Um, but I believe that these people are going to be our future healers. The woman that I've been speaking of, her name is Katie. She can touch you and heal you with her hands. She'll give you a hug and you can feel an instant relief when she touches you. She's also got, she's a Reiki master, but I've had Reiki done before and this is much different. It's hands-on. She and her son both, they're what I consider twin souls, introduced to me by my husband, telepathic, and for times to come, telepaths are going to be needed. So say the internet went down, for example, it's thought to thought conversation. And I have experienced that with her too.
What has Dolores Cannon learned? You've watched all of her lectures, so have I. I've watched quite a few. What did she learn about these type of hybrid programs? Was there anything conveyed by her clients when they were under the hypnosis that could kind of lend credence to all of this information?
Well, they were highly evolved people, but they forgot that they were highly evolved. And so while they were under hypnosis, she found that tapping into either the superconscious or the subconscious, that they just needed to be reminded who they were. And there are a lot of people right now, they're saying, I don't remember. And a lot of that has to do with the fluoride in the water. It's affected our pineal gland. Some people it hasn't affected, but other people it has. So yeah, people that have, say, extrasensory perception, heightened sensitivity, as we talked about the last time, that's kind of here to be our protectors, actually. They know something before that happens. I think Dr. Feelgood is one of those people. He'll agree with me on that one.
Yes, and I will link a video down below in the comments so that if you're interested in learning about Dr. Feelgood and the experiences that he has channeling, I will link that below for you. Another question, Cynthia, if you could help the viewers and me understand this. So Dolores Cannon, it said that she really believed that the alien hybridization programs could help with human evolution. Could you talk about that a little bit? Is that the same as human evolution or soul evolution?
Well, human evolution, soul evolution first. Human evolution is for soul evolution. So we come here for the experience, and then when our time is over, we take that back to source and present what we learned. But I believe that you say alien, that makes us all think someone out there, but they're within our planet right now walking the earth. So it's not somebody that you can just, like I said, you can't just point them out and say, that's one, or there they are, and that'll make mass hysteria. But I believe that human evolution, these particular people are going to be our next healers, without the need for medical examinations. They can sense an illness by looking at you. Dr. Feelgood, again, he's one that can sense if you have something wrong with you, and he can tell you exactly what it is that's wrong.
So you had mentioned that this all kind of goes back to the powers that be. Now, what, and I know my viewers, they really want to know, tell me about the Galactic Federation. Who are they? What are they? Do they mean us any harm? Are they watching? What's going on with them?
They are watching everything. They are the powers that be. They are the creators of the planet. It was their planet to begin with. We kind of forgot, and governments actually, they didn't forget. They broke a treaty. And the Galactic Federation is there to make sure that that treaty is honored. So the Galactic Federation are beings that vibrate faster than us. We cannot see them with our physical eyes. Some people can. I have met people that can, but they are the people that watch over us. You think that you're not being watched, that somebody's not in your house, that when you look over to the wall, you don't see anything. There's somebody there all the time. They're making even more.
Now, I have a question for you. All right. So many times in my home alone, I know I'm home alone. I know there's nobody here. And I'll look around, and I'll know that I'm by myself. But that weird sneaking suspicion that you're being watched, somebody's watching you, and it just feels creepy, and you feel like, well, there's somebody just literally looking over my shoulder. What is that? Is that them, or is that spirit of those guardian angels? How does that feeling that we get play in?
It can be all of the above. It can be guardian angels that are watching over you. It could be I call them the powers that be. It kind of just lumps everybody together. And that way we're not looking for something specific. When you start talking about guardian angels, what do you think of? I think of wings. So, is there somebody there with wings? But in essence, we're sensing energy. Everything's energy. So these are energetic beings that you're sensing.
Okay, thank you. Now, is the Galactic Federation different than God? Because I'm a woman of God. I believe in God. So,
oh yeah, well, according to Dolores Cannon's work, God is actually an energy source. So if you see writings about source or source energy, when someone transitions, for example, what they see is a great big bright light that is God, so to speak, or source, but it's an energy source. And when we leave the planet, or whatever planet we're on, because it's not just this one, there are many out there, we return to source to get re-energized and to bring back what we've learned while we're here.
Now, that brings me to my next question. Obviously, this information just wasn't pulled from the sky. Well, maybe it was pulled from the sky, as they say, the spaceships and UFOs. Recently, our government has spotted flying saucers, UFOs, whatnot, flying around. So how did Dolores Cannon, let me rephrase that. Are there any specific examples that Dolores Cannon shared that you can think of offhand that people have remembered having this type of experience other than Christy?
Well, I was married to a person that had an experience with a UFO, and a lot of people that write on Quora have had experiences too. They telepathically communicate with the light ships, as they describe them. My ex-husband actually saw one in 1969, and that was a long time ago. And from what I understand, from what Dolores Cannon's work teaches us, there are certain people that are allowed to see these things because they're not judgmental. They're not going to get scared, where some of us might get alarmed. But from what my ex-husband told me, he said it was a huge, I'll say flying saucer. I don't like using that word, but for lack of a better term, he said that it moved at light speed. So in other words, he saw it, he blinked, and then it was gone. So he was questioned for a long time. His sanity was questioned. But now, with the government releasing more information about this, he was right. He saw what he needed to see. And as his wife at the time, when I married him, I was meant to marry him to get this information. So all of our life experiences that we've had thus far have brought us to today. It's what we choose to take with us. So I learned that from you. So yeah.
Now, I remember watching an interview. I will try to link a clip if I can in this video, if I'm allowed to, but there's a possibility I might not be allowed to. This lady conveyed to the news, someone who interviewed her for a documentary, that she looked up along with a lot of other people one night, and she said it was like a shopping mall flying over her
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
It was huge. She couldn't understand what was flying. So are you saying that these people who do have these experiences, they are meant to have this experience for a reason?
Yes, they're meant to take that experience and share that with other people. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Now, you mentioned before that Dolores Cannon is now, through any medium who will listen, correcting some of her mistakes, that she might have been off by a few dates, but the majority of her work, her writing, her, everything that she shared was in fact correct. And we're seeing a lot of that stuff happen today in today's world. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, she was 83 when she passed away in 2014, so she was about, I'll say between 80 and 81 when she was, I'm just throwing out numbers, but up there in age when she was writing, say, the 3 Waves of Volunteers. So the information that's provided in the book is based upon her understanding according to her teachings throughout her life. So she could write only according to her understanding of what she had been taught. So right now she's got a broader perspective. I've met mediums and I wish I had them recorded, because one of them gave me a full rundown the other day on a Google Meets test video. And she was just spieling out what was done right, what was done wrong. And that was not my friend speaking, it was Dolores Cannon speaking. So I didn't record it, but the next time I will. But yes, she's coming out of every medium that she can. And she's basically broadcasting. So she's not just going, hey, you, I'm going to speak from you today. It's just like a broadcast. If you've seen Transcendence with Johnny Depp, he does a broadcast and he does it through many, many people simultaneously. So that's what she's doing.
So we need to watch Transcendence.
You do, and especially the ending, don't want to be a spoiler here, but you'll see exactly not just how Dolores Cannon's doing it, how my husband's doing it. Anybody that's non-physical can basically kind of stand there and say, I'm going to touch all these people all at once, and they're all going to have the same thought, and they're going to know it's, especially with me, they're going to know it's from me. So certain things from Dolores Cannon, I can identify myself because I've read her work. And especially when she'll say, thank you, Cynthia, and it's not her face talking to me. So that was a surprise when I got that a few weeks ago.
And that also reminds me of another movie. Speaking of popular modern culture, you turned me on to a film starring Julia Roberts, who I personally adore, called Leave the World Behind. Can you tell the viewers just a little bit about that and why they should check that movie out on Netflix?
Oh, please check that movie out. It's a wonderful movie about us losing our internet connectivity, not our cell phone usage, and what would we do if that would happen? And there are many cars right now that are being built in autopilot. You don't need anybody behind the wheel. And apparently, from what I took from the movie, this is just my opinion, Elon Musk had a lot to do with that one, because they're all Tesla cars that were piling up on the highway. So it's a great one to watch, just in case. And I've been speaking to many, many people who are having connectivity issues. I've been doing this for 2 years. And this movie was just released in November. So it's a good one to just to tune into and say, geez, what would we do without technology for a day? Maybe we can even watch Friends and have a laugh.
And one of the points you have made over and over and attempted to drive home to us, excuse me, is that Dolores Cannon did speak quite a bit regarding technology, what might happen if we lose it, and what if it gets out of control. Do you want to share a little bit with the viewers regarding technology and AI?
Yeah, well, artificial intelligence, this was spoken to on on Next Level Soul with Alex Ferrari today. It depends on what we use it for. And there are many of us that are using it to create videos, for example, or to provide information that's valuable but not hurtful to the public. But there's also artificial intelligence being used right now for fear tactics. And a lot of our governments are using that for that. So I believe I spoke with a friend of mine today who received something through Instagram that indicated that someone was being assaulted in the city of New York. And my first thought was, is that real? Because there's so much CGI going on right now that we can actually put a video together, put different heads on there, use different speech, because AI has been used to record. If you use Siri, if you use Google, if you use anything that with a voice command, it's being recorded and it's being used in a not so good direction. So it depends on if the scales are tipping. So if what they're trying to do is to avoid using an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, to stop all satellite. But in the movie, Leave the World Behind, that's what it's about. It's about an EMP. It's about all the satellites being taken out. So just know that it's all being done for the greater good. It's not being done for anybody's harm.
Now, one of the points that you made about being as they call a medium magnet, I guess a lot of mediums gravitate towards you and they share information, a lot of the information that you're sharing with us here today. Does that have anything to do with kind of being an antenna for energy, or being an antenna to connect with people who might be related to extraterrestrials?
It could be. I've always had, I'll say, my radar up, my antennas I didn't have a word for it. I used to say I was tuned in. I would be able to know when a family member was in a distress without them telling me. From Dolores Cannon's work, when she described the first wave of volunteers, they were known as antennas, some were known as receivers, some are known as both. So evidently, I'm one of those. I've been able to pick up on other people's energy, specifically when it came to somebody who shared the exact same frequency as me, and that was my husband. So,
and Cynthia is a channel. She is able to channel her husband, Joe. I had a talk with Joe tonight and asked him kindly not to interfere with our lighting. And so far, he's been very nice about it. Cynthia, do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about Joe?
Oh, Joe's a prankster. But what he did I believe it was your video with Desmond Robbins the other day, he wanted to emphasize a point. And because I was laughing so hard, he always catches me off guard. That's just Joe's MO. His goal in life was to keep me laughing and keep my hair a mess. He drove a convertible, people. But he's still trying to keep me laughing. So with your video, it was so delightful to see that he had something to do with flashing the lights at a very unique moment where Desmond was saying we need to be better people. So we need to be the best version of ourselves. And that's when your lights really started flashing. And that was Joe's way of saying, this is it. This is what you're supposed to be paying attention to. So tonight he's taking the night off. He did say the other day, and I did hear him, he said, that was on me. So, it was on the house. That's what he said. That light show was on the house. Thank you. So yeah, sometimes I can hear him. Sometimes it's like, nope, can't hear you at all. But yeah. So yeah, he's being a good boy tonight. He's letting you have the show.
And I appreciate that because boy, those lights.
All you need to do is ask. And this is the thing that Dolores Cannon also points out in her book. If there's, say, spirit that's kind of giving you a little pain in the neck, like my husband's been doing lately, or actually I see it as he's giving you a little bit of a nudge to say, pay attention to this line, because he already knows what the person's going to say before they say it. But she said that if we don't want something, say your light's flashing tonight, just ask, say, please don't do that tonight, and he won't. It's kind of like when you have a spirit encounter in the middle of the night, which I did with him right after he first transitioned. And I didn't know any of this stuff. And he was poking me. And I had the ability to see him. And I said, that hurts. You need to stop. And it broke my heart. to say no to this man because I never wanted to say no to him. But some boundaries need to be drawn sometimes, and you needed to draw yours.
Yes, but it is really interesting when he does make the lights blink. That is very interesting. So you guys, if you want to check that out, go ahead and take a look at one of the videos with Desmond. I believe it's the one with a bright yellow thumbnail with Desmond's smiling face on it, talking about parallel universes when he made some very specific comments. Then Joe chimed in. Now, Cynthia, I have a question for you regarding your ability to channel Joe. As a medium channel, if you will, you've received praise and also some skepticism. What do you say to those naysayers?
Oh, I would just say need to experience it to believe it, because unless you've experienced it, you're not going to believe it. It's just going to be, that's pure skepticism. As for me, when I first started channeling him or speaking for him, I didn't even know I was doing it. It was a friend of mine that brought it to my attention. She had a friend of hers that was a Vietnam vet, and she was talking to me about him, and I just looked at her and I said, what did he do? I said, oh, he raised his hand up in the air, got shot, and got his way home. And she looked at me and she said, she's the first person to see Joe after he transitioned. And she just said, thanks, Joe. She said, that wasn't you, Cindy. And so that was my beginning of learning what I was doing with it. Now it's like two lanes of traffic merging into one. He'll just speak through me and you won't even know it. You'll just say, that's Cynthia talking. So this is why Joe and I have both been trying to recruit a male gentleman to speak for him, so that I'm kind of taken out of the limelight and he actually has his own voice, so to speak.
That is really an interesting point that you made. Joe communicates with you, but is potentially looking for a male to speak through. And I feel like maybe he found that a bit in Dr. Feelgood, who we will be bringing out a video with him pretty soon.
Oh, Dr. Feelgood, yes, he's very good at, he and Joe have similar personalities. When I do talk to Dr. Feelgood on the telephone, I'll say, who am I talking with? Which one of you? And sometimes he'll say, both of us. And I'll know it's my honey because of the comments that are made. You know, sometimes they're a little private, but that's okay. John's a great guy.
He certainly is. And we have a video coming out with Dr. Feelgood tomorrow, a candid conversation.
Oh, he's a wonderful helper to everybody. He can reach down to the depths of your soul and find out just what's ailing you. And that man really needs to come out of his closet. I did, John. You've got to do this too.
Cynthia, I want to thank you for being here as I cough all over everybody. I want to thank you for coming on again.
Thank you.
And is there anything else that you'd like to share with the viewers about extraterrestrials? Should we be scared? And how would we know if we ourselves happen to have extraterrestrial DNA apart from like the face shape and stuff? Is there like an internal test we can do, or?
Sure. Do you have psychic abilities? Do you have mediumship abilities? Do you have telepathic abilities? Evidently, I've been telepathic all my life. Am I an alien? I never asked that question until 3 years ago, when I used to look at my guy and say, you're not human, because the intellect is usually off the charts. They know things that normally people don't know, you know, without education, formal education. And, you know, this man is supposed to be my twin, as people say. But we both had that type of knowledge when we were children. We just knew things that we shouldn't have known, but those things actually, those ideas were being funneled down from spirit. We were actually channeling higher consciousness as children. So, and everybody is a channel, so keep that in mind.
So everyone's a channel, so everyone could theoretically have some alien DNA in us. Now, I have a question. When I was younger and I was playing with friends and whatnot when I was a child, people wanted to eat berries and twigs off the tree, and I would just know not to do that. I would just know, no, we don't eat that because that'll make us sick, we'll choke on it, whatever, and you're 5 years old. So is that the kind of sense of knowing, or could that DNA information be passed down through the ancestors? How does that work?
Combination of both, I would say. I wouldn't rule anything out. You've obviously got super intellect as well. So most of us do that are communicating with each other now. We're not attracting what we think, we're attracting who we are. So as a collective, we're attracting each other, which is really fantastic because we're getting to be on the same wavelength. And then eventually all of us as unity consciousness will all be on the same wavelength as we transition into 5D. But
Yeah.
you've got unique abilities just like everybody else. In fact, I would say you have more than I do.
You're being very kind. I'm not sure that that's true, but I appreciate the compliment. And I will link Cynthia's Quora account down below in the description of this video for you guys so that you can go ahead and check her out on Quora, take her wisdom and use it for your highest good. I will also link her Quora space called the 3 Waves of Volunteers, the TFJ, so that way you can join in the conversation. So thank you again, Cynthia, for being here. We will see you guys again soon.